Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first ever edition of the Doghouse. I am your host, Brian Langer. I am here with our first ever guest, Coach Austin Sherfy. All right, everybody. Let's get some background about Coach Sherfy. He has previously been the junior varsity and the freshman coach for several years. He took over the varsity coach at the start of the 2021-2022 season. He actually played for the Bulldogs in the seasons of 2009, 2011. He actually won a playoff game versus Nokomis, first round, beat them 56-39. Then second round, he took a loss to North Mac, 12-26. So, Coach, after a little background about you, should we get to the questions?
Yeah, let's go ahead, Langer. I'm excited to see where you take us here.
All right. Question 1. Looking at your own career of state competition, as well as Staunton's 2013 state championship run, how would you like to help your athletes become state competitor this year?
Well, the funny thing with the 2013 state championship team is when those seniors that year, the Bruins, the Shellers, and all that group were actually my sophomores when I was in high school. So I guess indirectly, I'm not saying that I specifically helped myself, but my grade and kind of the years before that kind of, I felt maybe helped set the mentality of the program for them. Looking at like my past playing experiences here at Staunton, we have talent. We always have had talent here in Staunton. I feel like the biggest change has been the mentality and the belief in the athletes. So I'm trying to kind of instill that belief and that chip on the shoulder attitude I felt like we played with in the early 2010s and trying to bring that into the early 2020s. And, I feel like we have transitioned into that. We've played a little more with an attitude. So, year 3 under myself as a head coach, we're hoping that we really get the attitude and the demeanor behind it this year.
All right. Question 2. Does it take a certain demeanor or sacrifice to get these results? And can you tell me more about your demeanor when you were a state competitor?
Yeah, so football, compared to all the other sports we have, I feel like football is more team-oriented. So, there's a lot of sacrifice in the game of football. And we saw that last year. We had games where Braden Buffington, is putting up 150 yards receiving and a half. We had games where Jacob Dillon led us in carries and led us in yards. We had games where, Cody Urey last year was throwing the ball all over the place. So, football, your number can be called at any given time, but you have to be ready to ring the bell. And if it's not your time to ring the bell, you have to be ready to do the dirty work, the blocking, the pursuing, the non-glorious tackles nobody talks about, but you're tackling their biggest running back in the hole. So, it's an ultimate game of sacrifice. Second part of that question, from our playing days, I felt like we had a lot of kids that would do the dirty work. Mm-hmm. And that's what I felt like kind of separated us from some of the teams we had played. I think now that, a lot of these kids I've taught in class, they know what I kind of look for now having them in the program for a couple years. Even looking at like something like our receiver blocking drills today, you can see that the mentality is changing. The effort and the want to block, a non-glorious play. Because let's be honest, every receiver wants to catch the ball a bunch. Yeah. Not every receiver wants to go lay down a down block in the open field. So I think if, everybody buys into that culture and that attitude, I think we're going to see a big boom of success this year.
Yeah. All right, question 3. What are your goals / expectations for this upcoming season?
Well, to me, this is a big season for the program. I always felt like watching programs build under new coaches, the first 2 years is like the planting of the seed in the crop. So, we planted the seeds, we've watered the seeds, we've tried to weeding the field that we've planted the seeds, we've spread fertilizer. We've done a lot this offseason. We've changed a lot of what we focused on. We were changing how we've practiced, how we organize practice. We've done Leadership Academy. So, I feel like all of those things collectively have watered the seeds. They've, pulled the negative weeds out. We've done all that stuff. So year 3 is where I think the mentality has to take over. While our record didn't show it last year, I think we took big steps. Mm-hmm. when I was here under Ferguson, we didn't have a lot of JV success. We didn't have the numbers, so we were pulling a lot of sophomores up. We're not in that position anymore. So now, we're seeing JV success take over. We've had freshman success. So, now I think it's, we had kids who are coming as an upperclassman. They're used to playing older kids and getting beat in our tough conference. Now it's our kids are coming up and like, we've beaten these guys. There's no difference just because we're older. So I think, the pivotal thing this year is getting the belief in. I've talked a lot about attitude and demeanor, but, in high school sports, attitude and demeanor make a lot of it.
All right. Looking at the years past of Staunton football, my question to you is, what changes you would like to implement in this year's training to show Staunton football is a strong competitive team no matter who they play?
Yeah, so actually, if you look at the last couple conference champions in the South Central Conference, looking at Pana North Mac last year, Pana North Mac were fast. Mm-hmm. Now, I know everybody's going to tell me, yeah, but North Mac was big. Yeah, they were. They were all seniors. Of course, they were big, but they were fast. Pana, Max Lynch, and all them guys fast. The Pana teams the years before, a lot of speed. Vandalia, when they had their couple 9-0 seasons, speed everywhere. Carlinville, when they have really dominated the conference, they have had speed. So we focused a lot on speed training, maybe over so much, maxing out strength training. Our goal is to stay fresh. Yeah. We want 100% of our kids available for a game instead of 80% of our kids available for a game. Practice-wise, I felt like we focused too much on details last year, so we've tried changing things to where we are going to be more repetition / be a little more diverse in our stuff to dial in on our game skills instead of just focusing on the detail, like the you need to take this step, then this step, and then you need to do this step. So, we want our kids to play fast, not, play slow and think fast. We want them to think fast, play fast. So, then obviously, I mentioned Leadership Academy. I feel like we needed to talk about how to lead because if you ever tell a high school boy to lead, first thing they start yelling is, come on, let's go, stuff like that. But, and I can hear it on the field. There's a lot more love on the field. Mm-hmm. And I know that sounds cheesy. We're talking about the physical game of football, but like a kid makes a mental mistake, there's somebody there saying, oh, hey, man, you got it next play. Mm-hmm. Somebody maybe drops a pass or they bobble the ball when they're getting the handoff. Somebody's there trying to correct them as a teammate instead of a coach. So, I feel like the positivity of leadership is really beginning to spread. So I'm excited to see the changes this year, and I think it'll make a big difference for us.
Yeah. All right. Question 5. In your last 2 years, what has been the most improvement in the program?
Well, I'm going to start with numbers. We've slowly crept, and we have to thank Bunker Hill for this, obviously, but we've crept from high 40s, low 50s to now we're kind of in the mid to high 60s, depending on a couple kids. So obviously the numbers are a big role because now we can keep our younger kids dressed at a lower level instead of having to pull sophomores up early. And I've been a very vocal about this in our community. Our mentality has changed. I mean, I get, my first year we had the 2 COVID forfeits or whatever. So we went, I think it was 1-6 that year. And then we go 1-8 last year. But as I keep telling the kids, you take away the first half of Carlinville, that was a very even game. Mm-hmm. You take away the first quarter and a half of Greenville, super even game. The first quarter of Vandalia, we scored that game. They came down, scored. We moved a little bit, then stalled. So, Pana, we played Pana about as well as anybody else in the conference, not named Vandalia week 1. So, I think we made strides. While our record didn't show it, I feel like last year our kids learned how to lose. Yeah. We did just enough to lose a game. Mm-hmm. So now the goal this year is we need to learn how to win a game. And I know that's like a cheesy coachinism, but I truly feel that our kids now understand what has to happen to win a game. And I think that's where we're going, where this program takes its next step is we've learned how to win.
Yeah. All right, Coach. As we finish up, do you have anything you have to say?
Yeah, all I know is I'm excited to be on the first episode of the Doghouse here with Mr. Briley. I've worked with him now. This will be year number 6. Kid's got a bright future, and I'm excited to see where he takes this.
Thank you, Coach Sherfy, for your time, and I hope you have a great season. I'd like to thank everybody for watching the first episode of the Doghouse. Thank you.